Hello, everybody. Hello. Strong voice. Hi there. Welcome to Pubtalk. I'm Eric Strobel, EDCO alum, now with BBSI. I'm filling in for Julie Harrelson, who's usually up here. I got the word that she is at a Kauffman Foundation event in Kansas City, and she's representing Oregon. Not sure what she's representing, but I mean, we have faith, right? She'll be okay. Yeah, I hope it works out. It's good. So, want to do a shout out to the Rambler Room. They never get a shout out, but they're never listening, right? That's the big networking central, right? And that used to be in the back of the room here, right? Everyone tried to network all the time, right, for years, and it was pretty bad because, you know, for the speakers. So, hello, Rambler Room out there. We're not doing a theater tonight. Don't have quite a big as crowd, but that's okay. It is beautiful, and thank you for being here. Appreciate that. And happy summer, right? Yeah. The solstice was 2 days ago, right? So it has officially started. I'm happy. I got a haircut. Thank you. I'm wearing my summer shirt. It's only one I got. And I'm going to get a colonoscopy next week. So it's my first one. Yeah. So yeah, I am. Yeah. Summer's starting really well for me. Yeah. But you know, I was thinking about it, and I thought Bing Bend and, you know, a possible race could come out of this, right? So you paddleboard, you ride your bike down to the Bend Surgery Center, you get your colonoscopy, and then you go slam beers. So that you could call it like the paddle, pedal, prod, or something like that, right? It could happen. It could be here, for sure. This is Bend. It's that weird, so. Living the Bend lifestyle. So how many new people do we have? First time at Pubtalk. All right, wow, that's great. Thanks for being here. It always seems, you know, like about 20% maybe, that's good growth. Love that. So good. And again, thanks for being here. You know, Pubtalk is 10 plus years old. We used to be so happy when we got 30 to 40 people. Right? And now over the hundreds every time, right? So it's grown a lot. EDCO's done a great job, but really it's you and our sponsors. And so we'll get to that. Title sponsors, Columbia Bank, Carnop Peterson, and UBS Rivera Wealth Management. And we'll hear from them in just a second. We have supporting sponsors as well. Jones & Roth CPAs, COCC's Small Business Development Center, Central Oregon Association of Realtors, and Velux Systems. Give them a round of applause. They're all right there. So let's hear from our first sponsor, and that's going to be Ryan McHugh from UBS Rivera Wealth Management. Come on up, Ryan.
All right, thanks, Eric. Do I get more time tonight now that Julie's not here? Are you going to? All right. All right. So my partner, Keith Rivera, and I have an independent investment advisory and financial planning team here locally at the UBS office here in town. And my ask tonight, since it's kind of the last one of the Pubtalk season here in Bend, would be to, if you have a business you're maybe exiting soon, retiring, a land or real estate sale, or quite frankly, maybe you just have an unsatisfactory financial relationship, I would encourage you to really reach out to Keith or I, and we could see if we might be a good fit for you, or at least we could help. But tonight, what I really wanted to talk about specifically was the global economy and how the world is changing at a rapid pace due to innovative technologies and shifting trends. So, looking at these changes, our UBS research team over the last couple of years has identified 3 major mega trends in the global economy. So 1, global population growth, rapidly expanding probably for the next 3 to 4 decades. Number two, we have an increasing urbanization, internationally still coming off the farms, flooding to cities. And lastly, an aging population, not just here in the U.S., but all over the world. So, underlying in these three megatrends are real specific sectors or areas that we see that stand to benefit or have a big investment opportunity. So these areas might be robotics and automation, think factories, self-driving cars, oncology research and new cancer drugs, carbon reduction, energy efficiency, and education services as some of the old models are changing into new efficiencies. So we're looking at companies that support these industries now and are capitalizing on this innovation. So our clientele have access to this portfolio that we've been managing of established businesses that are solving problems, innovating, and making money for investors now. And most importantly, they're more positioned as these trends change globally, and they stand to benefit in the future. So anyways, thank you very much. Just wanted to talk about that tonight.
Nice color combo, Ryan. Yep. Just you wait. It sneaks up on you like that. I think I put it off like 5 times, and they finally said, "Eric, come on, just do it," right? So I do it at the beginning of summer. Great. Okay. So next, would love to introduce Kurt Barker from Carnot Peterson. Come on up. There he is. Left field. Yeah.
Eric, it's good to have you back. Good to see you here. Kurt Barker, employment and intellectual property and trial lawyer from Carnot Peterson. I think because I do employment law, most people would rather have a colonoscopy than speak with me. But no, I like solving employee problems. Thank you to my law partner, John Napier. Most of you know we sort of take turns doing this. I asked to take his spot tonight. You'll figure out why in like 2 shakes. Just a quick report from the firm, hiring success that I wanted to share. You're going to get to meet these fine folks very soon. Starting next week and through September, we have no less than, wait a minute, how many fingers? 4. That was almost a really big fail. 4 new lawyers starting with our firm. A business attorney from my old firm, Stoll Reeves in Portland, and the top of his class at Willamette Law School, starting with us over the next couple months. So we're real excited to report that. But what I really want to say is that this tonight, my personal humble opinion, this is going to be the best pub talk ever. Did you guys know that? Because it's featuring a little startup called, Mission Limelight, that is spearheaded by my amazing wife, Talina Barker. Wow, that is awesome. And I just happened to be up here, holy cow. So Matt, in the Rambler room, you cue up the shameless wife plug alert. Shameless wife plug alert. Okay? So I think most of you know Talina from the way she has worked to advance the mission and fundraising efforts of so many nonprofits here in Central Oregon for over the last decade. You've been to the events that she's launched or leaped forward. The Cork and Barrel Wine Auction for Kids Center, the Foodie Crawl for Ben's Community Center, and the list goes on and on. I'm going to get cut off. So I just want to tell you one quick thing you probably don't know about her. Just a little personal story. We go back. It's not going to be one of those pub talks. But her tech startup roots actually go back to the beginning of our marriage. So back in '99, when we just got married, and I had the privilege, I was entering my 2nd year of law school at Stanford, down in the Bay Area. Think .com bubble, right? Good time to be down in the Bay Area. She joins me after we get married. She comes on down and was one of the first hires at a VC-funded tech firm. So by the end of that year, end of my 2L year, I'm cramming away for finals. She's off in India managing a team of programmers and eating really good food. So I was a little bit jealous then. I'm really excited for her now. Talina is a true catalyst and a visionary, and I'm excited for you to hear more about her business. The Mission Limelight team is gathered in force, and they kick ass. I just didn't say that. Did I get, Matt, you can beep that out later. Thank you. Please stick around and hear the talk. We're excited to be here.
Gotta be special to live with Kurt, for sure. So, all right. So, introducing a newer member of the Columbia Bank team. I've gotten to know her. She's awesome. Please welcome Christina Withers.
Good evening to everybody. It is great to see all of the new faces that haven't been here before, and it's good to see everybody that I've met in the short few months that I have been a part of the Columbia Bank team. For those of you who don't know me, thank you, Eric, for the great introduction. My name's Christina Withers. I am joining Columbia Bank as of February as a commercial banking officer. My background is lending. I've got 6 years of experience in lending, and I like to think of myself as a business banker by day and a business owner by night. And that experience as a business owner has really helped me bring ease of dealing with a business banker to the experience at Columbia Bank. So I was practicing this speech last night with my fiance, and he thinks I'm a really bad joke teller. He's decided I tell jokes like the nerds on The Big Bang Theory, which I do. I'm, totally miss the funny part normally or say it wrong. So that in mind, here goes. So what is the difference between a tragedy and a catastrophe? Well, a tragedy is a bunch of bankers on a sinking boat. A catastrophe is when all of those bankers can swim. Bazinga. And for all of you who have no idea and think I just lost my mind, that's another Big Bang reference. So if you haven't picked up one of the nomination forms that are on all of the tables and most of the chairs for the Cascade Business News' 20 fastest growing companies in Central Oregon, go ahead and do that. If you can't find one, come find someone from Columbia Bank or Cascade Business News. You can even find that form online on EDCO's website and Cascade Business News' website. So remember, there's absolutely no cost to nominate your business for this award. The top 20 get recognized at an event and will be showcased in a special edition of the Cascade Business News. The information you provide is kept confidential, and it really doesn't matter how large of a business you have as long as you've made over $100,000 in gross revenue in 2016 and have grown since 2014. So now that I've taken all of your excuses to nominate your business away, you better pick up one of those nomination forms. Lastly, I wanted to mention, as most of you know, the Fed did raise target rates last week, and it is forecasted that they'll be raised against at least one more time by the end of the year. So those target rates are short-term rates. That's your credit cards, your home equity lines of credit, your business lines of credit. But it doesn't really affect long-term rates, which are still really great. So if you have a variable rate loan that's a term loan or a loan whose rate adjusts in the next few years, it's probably a good idea to think about refinancing those, because as short-term rates continue to rise, those long-term rates are going to eventually be pushed up. So if you'd like to talk to one of us at Columbia Bank, we'd be happy to talk to you about options to refinance. And if I haven't met you, I'd love to. Thanks so much for laughing at my joke, and have a great evening.
All right, let me get a show of hands between the humor of Corey, usually, right? Corey's up here usually. Who thinks, who votes for Corey's humor? Wow, nothing, whoa, God, crickets. All right, Christina's humor? Oh, okay, all right, okay. Sorry, Corey, I didn't think you'd be here, but sorry you were. All right, now we're going to point out some of the EDCO staff in attendance, and as you know, they do a great job. I'm biased, of course, I'm an alum, but Pubtalk wouldn't be here. A lot of things wouldn't be here without EDCO, so we owe these people a lot of thanks. And so the COO, Erin Chayette, she's probably still out there. We've got Terry Hockett, who's a technology industry coordinator. She's right at the door. Can you wave? Yep, great. You know that's tick, right? So you're the tick. Yeah, I might want to change that. And Erin Riley, right? Events extraordinaire. Where is she? Yep. She's still out there too. Elise Rossman, Marketing and Communications Director, and timer. Thank you for the help. We have David Haynes, are you still an EDCO intern, David? David, are you still an EDCO intern? Yes. Okay. But even more importantly, he's the new internship coordinator at the Bend Chamber. So congratulations on that. And if you haven't read about that, please look it up. It's a great program. It's really cool. And then a new EDCO intern, we have Oscar Wiegand. Where is Oscar? Hi, Oscar. Yep, welcome. I don't know a lot of Oscars, so that's pretty cool. That's good. And then we have the fearless leader of EDCO, and he is fearless. I will testimony to that. Roger Lee, he's going to give a EDCO minute, so please welcome Roger.
Eric, he's kind of like EDCO family, and so when Julie was out, he couldn't quite say no, no, you're doing this, Eric. You cannot say no, so thanks for being up here tonight.
I got a free golf game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I didn't hear about that.
Brian expensive.
Oh, okay. I'll have to prove that later. So in continuing the theme of personal health care, I just was reminded by an event we had at the newly opened St. Charles Medical Center. They had the conference center, and it just opened. And BMC was eager to sponsor that event at BMC, or at St. Charles. And so they wanted to feature some new technology they had. It was a virtual colonoscopy, and it was a lunch. And so they played that before lunch about twisting turns, and, oh, there's a polyp. Yeah, anyway. It was entertaining. I remember it 10 years later. So for those of you who were here last month, I reported that we had hired a new local director for South County for the Sun River Lapine area from the Deep South. Actually, it's from Mississippi. This evening, Ryan Culp is here with his lovely wife. Ryan, raise your hand back there as well. And he's here in the flesh and near his second week on the job. And if you get a chance, just give him a warm Central Oregon welcome. Thanks also go out to Connie Drewliner and Karen Turner of Express for that successful search. I'm also pleased to announce and introduce Heidi Hausner. Heidi, are you in the ramp? Oh, she's right down here. Heidi will be officially starting as EDCO's first Director of Membership, and her first week is in the first week of July. So she's a longtime resident of the region, comes to us following a 9-year stint with Three Creeks Brewing and Sisters, where she headed up marketing, communications, and events. She's also an entrepreneur, like many of the folks we're going to hear from tonight, a real estate developer and new mother of 2 through adoption from Africa. So we know she's a risk taker, and she's taken that risk with us in a new position at EDCO. So thanks for joining the team. I want to thank Eric and for BBSI and Sarah Lindsay for that search and finding Heidi. Next, I want to talk a little, last but not least, just really want to welcome again Oscar. We haven't had any Oscars at EDCO before, but we know he's going to be an awesome intern, and he's finishing up his studies this winter at OSU Cascades in business administration and sustainability. And then finally, I'd like to make you aware of a super cool effort that uniquely here in Oregon called YEBW. Anybody take a guess what that stands for? It's a total new program to me, but it's been around for almost 10 years. It stands for the Young Entrepreneurs Business Week. And it's a program that's partners with University of Portland, Oregon State University, and University of Oregon for a week-long immersion in everything in business for high school students. And students can get started, I think, even in their freshman year. And I kind of think of it, I grew up in Idaho, they had boys or girls state for folks who are interested in becoming lawmakers or in the whole legislative or political process. But I think of it in Oregon as, we sometimes have this opinion of business among our lawmakers that, business is the one that needs to do this or needs to do that, and sometimes is a bit demonized in the state. And I think it's a really cool program to expose young kids about what it is all about business. And I understand this is a pretty amazing program. My introduction to the program was an in-person conversation with the current volunteer board chair, Jeff Gauss. Jeff's a software professional. He's the CEO of a software company up in Portland. And he relayed how he enrolled his oldest son when he was, I think, maybe a junior in high school. And he basically went kicking and screaming. And he called the second night to thank him, and it turned out to be a transformational point for both his education and vocation, and really turned his, I think, was a remarkable transformation for his kid. And we're hoping that both he and the executive director of that organization will come back maybe in January to talk a little bit more about it and maybe be our keynote. So this year's 30 students from Central Oregon will attend this year's Business Week, and I really want to give a shout out to Amy and her family for supporting a good chunk of those kids personally. And Jim Shell and I got a request this week from the executive director that 2 students who would like to attend are not able to afford the $995 tuition for the week. All kind of pays for everything. YABW is looking for sponsors for these 2 kids, which they'll match with $1,000 in sponsorships from their contributors that will enable these students to attend. So this sounds interesting to you. Please catch me in a break. I talked to Amy. The scholarship is actually 100% tax deductible. So thank you.
Thanks, Roger. Never heard of that organization, so thank you for that. Thanks, Amy. Okay, so Craft 3 has filled a vital niche in the Central Oregon financing arena. So we have Turner Wascom here. He's the commercial lending team manager at Craft 3 for an update of what they've been doing since they were the first institution to invest in BVC's inaugural 2016 social impact track, and what else they're up to. So welcome, Turner.
Okay, I don't have a colonoscopy scheduled. Yeah, right. It was 4 years ago, almost to the day, that I stood up here as Craft 3 opened the Bend office and talked about what we could do. And so I guess I'll, just give a quick one, update on what we have done, and maybe even before that, who we are. So Craft 3 is a CDFI. That is a community development financial institution. So we are we are licensed by the Department of Treasury, but we're not regulated like a bank. And we're actually tasked with going out and making loans to companies that can't access traditional or can't access capital from traditional sources like banks and credit unions. All my colleagues here in the room. One of the main differences between us as a bank is we always say really early on, why do we want to make this loan? What is the impact? Are we going to create 10 jobs or 5 jobs? What is the company going to do? So let me give you a few examples of companies that we've helped. Number one, in fact, it was actually originated from 4 years ago, right here at this meeting. We made a loan to a startup company called Rotblock. And Rotblock has this really innovative product made from recycled tires that preserves wood poles that are stuck in the ground. It can extend them like 3 billion years. So anyways, startup company, and a lot of times that's who we're dealing with because they're not bankable. We also helped, and I was really proud of this, we actually saved Shearshaw's ski and snowboard. They were in special assets, Bank of the Cascades. Their hands were tied. They said, they're actually performing, but we can't redo it. We've got these other regulations. We came in, took them out of special assets, gave them a fresh start, and they're doing really well. Knocking on wood. A couple other companies we've helped, Straw Propeller up in Redmond, the gourmet oatmeal company. Cascadia Vehicle Tents, another startup company. They actually had a little runway. They're already operating for a couple years. Came to me about 2 years ago, and Jamie, who was great, said, here's my packet. Here's everything. The bank just told me no. There's no way you're going to be able to help me. And I just said, you might be right. I don't know. Let's take a look. We were able to help her out. In fact, We actually submitted that loan for approval with an SBA guarantee. The SBA said no, it's too risky, and we said screw it, we're still going to make the loan. We did. They're doing really well. They just opened a new retail shop over here on Greenwood, and I was just talking to one of my colleagues here in the crowd, and they might be refinancing us out. We consider that a real success story. We make loans of all sizes. So $20,000, we made a really small loan to this lady to buy the Snowcap Drive-In up in Redmond. She had worked there for 20 years, couldn't get financing. The owner wanted to sell it, came to us. We gave her some advice. You kind of need to do this. You should do that. Made her the loan, and it's performing. Yay! Because every time you talk about this, that's sure enough. Tomorrow I'll get a call. So we make loans from small sizes up to the largest loan we've made is $10 million. That was in loan I made 2 years ago in my hometown of Ontario, Oregon. It was created 330 jobs. And to tell you the kind of risk we took, bankers in the crowd will start to freak out right now. That was an $11 million real estate purchase, and we made a $10 million loan. And we partnered with another friend of ours here in the crowd, Business Oregon, who came in, and it wasn't like the customer walked in with that other $1 million. There was more leverage here. So, that was on a purchase price, not even appraised value. So, for the right deal, we're willing to take a lot of risk. If you are a business owner or you have friends that are business owners they can't get financing from a bank or the bank has said no, I would encourage them to come to Craft 3 and actually talk to that gentleman right back there who's going to wave his hand nice and high. That's Jeff Baker. He's our business lender here in Bend. So there's the update from Craft 3.
Oh, Q&A. I'm sorry. Turner. Yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Do we have some questions from the audience on Craft 3? No? No questions.
Because the presentation was
Right. So is it, yeah. What's your sweet spot?
Yeah, great question. $10 million onion manufacturers are apparently a sweet spot, and drive-ins. No, it's, we do really well on loan sizes anyways, that are 100,000, to $1 million, I would say. We can operate on those really efficiently, certainly smaller. Companies that we're kind of really good in they've got some momentum already going. So if we're just effectively, the fire's already built and we're going to pour a little gas on that fire, that's where we're really good at. They've got 1 year of profitability, or they've got a couple months. Another company we helped, Jim, used to be Jim Raw Organics here in town. We helped them, and they had just turned the corner on profitability, but had a good, forecast, looked really nice. We came in, they were a manufacturing company, they needed to buy some equipment. We were able to help that. So I guess we'll do any industry. Tech is hard for us, like most banks, other than Silicon Valley Bank. But we'll do startups. It's not every startup. It's got to make sense. But if you got a little momentum and we can pour a little gas on that fire, that's where we're really good.
So why is tech hard?
Boy, Dan, okay, I'll answer that like a banker, because typically the burn rate is really big. There's not a lot of collateral, and it's very much from a banking and a financing perspective set up for an investor, right? The investor can come in and get a big payoff on that exit in 5 to 7 years. Particularly for Craft 3, we're a nonprofit. If everything goes according to plan, and I don't have to call you again, we break even. So it's just, tech can be a difficult one. I think everybody, and I think the bankers in this room would agree, trying to get more comfortable with tech, because look at Bend and what tech has done in Bend. It's created a lot of jobs and a lot of well-paying jobs, but it can be difficult. I would agree. Yep, I would agree. And it can, yeah.
Is it just you and Jeff then?
Oh, great question. Yeah, because we're focused on job creation, Craft 3 has doubled its staff here in Bend. So, hey, we play along too. So Jeff is a business lender. I'm actually the commercial lending supervisor. So I supervise the commercial lenders through all 7 of our offices, and we have offices in Oregon and Washington. And then we have 2 other employees here in town. And we were actually at 5, and then that person chose to move back to Bend willingly, which I've never seen in 26 years of living in Bend. So there was one crazy person in 91,000 population city. So, yeah.
All right.
Good now?
Yeah. Oh, one more. Yeah, sure.
You said you work with Business Oregon. Do you prefer to work with a consortium of lenders and funders, or would you like to work alone, or does it?
It really depends. So the question was, just so everybody can hear, are we comfortable working with just Business Oregon or a consortium of different lenders and et cetera? I will tell you this. It is rare when we have adequate collateral coverage. It's really rare for us. I mean, I get really excited when we actually have an acceptable LTV on real estate or whatever it might be. So we can work with, a lot of times we do partner with banks, and we'll take a junior position on some of those. Again, let me phrase it this way. The more impacts, the more job creation is kind of an easy one to point to. But let's say that's going to create 100 jobs. It's going to retain 10 jobs and create 10. We're willing to take those kinds of risks. The more impacts that our capital is going to make, the more we're willing to take more risk in order to make that happen. We do partner with Business Oregon. We do partner with all the banks in the area on occasion. We probably, like most, prefer to be alone, but sometimes that just doesn't make sense. And so we're willing to step back and try and take a common sense approach to it. Does that help?
Yeah. All right, great. Thanks.
Okay, thanks again.
All right, Kurt kind of stole my thunder on this next introduction. But, events are key. Just ask Aaron Riley what events have done for EDCO. They're key to funding, awareness building, especially for nonprofits. So tonight we have founder and CEO of Mission Limelight, Dholakia Barker, to introduce the comprehensive suite of services, cloud-based marketplace enabling nonprofits to increase contributions and revenue by improving auctions and fundraising. Good stuff. So welcome to Dholakia Barker.
I'm shorter than you, Eric. Is this about right, Matt? Okay, good. So there's been a lot of shout outs on the good PSAs on the male side of the health spectrum. So ladies, just make sure you're covering all the stuff you need to cover. And I'd like to take a minute to give my husband some praise too, given that very unexpected and warm introduction. But I know they're going to hold me to 10 minutes, so sorry, honey. So here we go with the pitch. I'm really excited to be here and share Mission Limelight with you. Mission Limelight came out of real challenges and frustrations that we face in the nonprofit fundraising world. And as Kurt said, I've been actually working with nonprofits for about 15 years now on both fundraising and strategy. And these challenges that we face are both on the donor side and on the nonprofit side. And we've really poised ourselves to solve problems and build better success on both of those sides. We're going to help nonprofits build more powerful auction lineups, help them capture more revenue for their cause, while they delight their donors and the audience. But we're going to also help businesses dovetail their philanthropy and their marketing efforts so they can do both better. To do this, here's the technical part. We use the power of cloud-based technologies to deliver a full suite of SaaS, which is software as a service solutions. And it's built on what we call the Mission Limelight Engagement Platform. It's a flexible and scalable platform, and it's the backbone of our solutions, and it's designed to support our growth needs and allow us to be truly global. The charitable giving space is ripe for attention and investment. Did you know that there are over 1.5 million nonprofits in the US alone? And in 2016, Americans gave almost $400 billion to charities. That's billion, not million. Another thing to note is that there are usually about 300,000 auction events in the US each year, and those auction events generate about $18 billion in revenue. So the first module on our platform is the Limelight Exchange. It's going to allow nonprofits to connect and exchange auction packages, which will drive increased revenue and exposure. Let's talk about auctions. Have all of you been to a charity auction or a gala or something? Yeah, everybody? Okay. So imagine your favorite nonprofit is holding the annual event that you always go to. Maybe it's for Kids Center, or maybe it's for Ben's Community Center, or maybe it's just for your kid's school auction. So their team goes around town and they ask businesses everywhere for donations. They might start at Deschutes Brewery, then they go to the Oxford Hotel, or they go to Five Fusion, and Lillian, hello if you're here. And then maybe Mount Bachelor, so on and so forth. They hit the streets. This is what fills the majority of charity live and silent auction lineups. It's packages from local donors, and this poses a problem. Guests at auctions lose interest when they see the same offerings over and over again at every event. Think about the events that you attend for your favorite charities. No doubt you've noticed redundancy in their lineups, but also have you noticed when there's something really fresh on the auction block, how much differently the bidding goes and how much more the energy in the room changes? And by the way, you know what's really kind of tough is that sometimes when you see something that's really unique at a charity auction, maybe it's a trip to Kenya for a photo safari or something, the charities typically paid thousands of dollars for that package, and that's important money that doesn't stay with your nonprofit. Because of this, local donors regularly see their donations go for less than value, and they're not getting any new or targeted eyes on their marketing efforts. They're preaching to the choir, so to speak. Here's an example. Tethero donates, let's say, Weekend for Four to the Cause. It's 2 nights in 2 rooms, plus a round of golf and dinner. That's going to have a value of right around $2,000. So what do you think happens when that package hits the auction block for charity? Does it go for value or higher? No, you're right. Unfortunately, no. Historically, that package will sell for right around 50% of value. Now, why is that? Well, we live here. Tethero's in our backyard, and because they're so generous, we've seen this package over and over at events. To us, it's not unique. But think about it. What if we could take that Tethero package and we could look out and we could exchange it with another nonprofit in Kentucky for a Kentucky Derby package? We bring that package here and it goes crazy. Or think about a Park City charity sending their Powder Hound package to New York, and instead Park City's offering up a Broadway adventure of some sort. Instead of auctioning off a weekend in your backyard, all of a sudden you're serving your audience up something fresh and the bidding goes crazy. Leveraging the power of exchanges unlocks revenue, and it's really valuable. I've struggled with nonprofits for years to try to make these exchanges happen offline. It's really, really hard. How do you find that one charity off in, say, Nashville that's ready to swap and that also has an audience that's looking for something in Central Oregon? This is where our Limelight Exchange comes in. We're providing a robust and innovative solution that will automate and make this process easy and painless for nonprofits and for donors. Think about vacation providers like homeexchange.com. In a similar way, nonprofits can search for the perfect auction packages to trade with each other. Fundraisers will save time. They'll raise more money with fewer auction items, and I can tell you if you've sat through a live auction event, you will be glad for that. They'll wow their guests and they'll delight their donors, and what'll happen is because it's new and fresh and exciting, donors and audiences will continue to come back year after year, giving more and more. Now, while all of this is happening, we're collecting data. We're collecting data on auction sales, on event demographics, on fundraising, on nonprofits, what kind of packages do sell over value, and where are they selling for over value. This data is going to prove tremendously valuable in helping nonprofits more effectively fundraise and help businesses in targeting their donations for greater impact. Now let's talk about you donor companies. I imagine there's a lot of business owners in here that get asked for sponsorships and in-kind donations all the time. Our solutions are going to give you the opportunity to extend your brand and your marketing activities, make the process of giving easy, save money, and amplify the real impact of the generous things that you do. Here's the reality for businesses that give. They get hundreds, even thousands of requests every single year. If you think about how much time it takes to process and vet those requests, it's a lot. It's about 15 minutes just to receive and decide. That doesn't even include fulfillment or conversation or anything else. Now, large businesses have some staff dedicated to manage this. Smaller businesses, like think Zydeco, anywhere around here, they just get by the best they can, and it doesn't leave them time to be thoughtful about how they give or to measure the true impact of their giving. Mission Limelight will fix this. So if you're a donor, wouldn't it be helpful if you had a system that automatically vetted all of the requests before they landed in your customized dashboard for approval? So you're only getting requests that align with your mission, your values, and your marketing goals. And then you could take advantage of that data that we've gathered to dovetail your philanthropic goals with your marketing goals and do both things better. You can also focus your giving in a way that benefits the causes that you care about while also putting your company in front of your target market. That's okay, and that's great. The system manages the appearance of your brand at the fundraiser, and it ensures your donor benefits are delivered and measured. 2017 Cone Communications survey confirms that 87% of Americans will choose to do business with a company that does good. So having the ability to effectively talk about this, your giving and your community involvement is becoming more and more important as a sales strategy. To support that, after an event, the system asks nonprofits for the data. How did things go? This allows you to measure your impact, turn around and tell the full story of how your business is making a difference. This is exactly why we're building this second solution on our platform. Now, just because Mission Limelight helps nonprofits doesn't mean it's not poised for its own significant profitability. Besides recurring SaaS subscription revenue, our model includes transactional fees, plus consulting and support services. Our sustainable and scalable platform extends our expertise to a nationwide audience, and quite frankly, global. Our predictive analysis tools will help nonprofits and businesses make smarter and more effective decisions. And we've built the founding team to make this happen. Stand up, team, I got 1 minute. Lisa Shropshire. She's our director of outreach. Our VP of Engineering is Sunny Mills. Our Director of Product Marketing and Strategy, John Ruggles. Reed Stager is one of our strategic advisors, as is Manny Freitas. And then Molly Renner just joined our board of advisors as well, and she couldn't be here tonight, but hello, Molly. So what's next, really quick? Our platform's ready to go. We're launching the Mission Limelight Exchange next month for early adopter nonprofits. We're going to add on that strategic corporate solution that I talked about early next year. We have competition, but our exchange is completely disruptive. Competitors are offering piecemeal solutions, but no company has the full suite of services in the giving lifecycle we bring to the table. And I think the first question you should ask me is, what do you need from us? What do you need from us? Oh, from...
Yeah, when you're asked. Just
Yep, I will.
okay, who's going to ask that one? Oh, this gentleman.
Besides cleaning the toilets more often, what do you need from us?
Kurt Barker asking me, what do you need from us? What an excellent question, Kurt. So a couple of quick things. Our exchange is driven by inventory, which means we want to make nonprofits successful, we need to get lots of auction packages out there to create a great ecosystem for them to swap. So what I would love is, especially for those of you who've moved here from somewhere else, let us know your favorite nonprofits in other towns and give us an introduction. We also are looking for diverse companies across multiple industries to help us refine the requirements for that donation management system that I talked about. And we believe we can scale and scale massively, but of course we're going to need investment to grow as quickly as possible and stay ahead of the curve.
Right here?
Which one? Here?
A lot of nonprofit investing is subjective. It's subjective to the whim of the donor, and it's subjective to what they think you want as opposed to what you really need. How do you maintain that subjective freedom of the donor to donate without coloring it or changing it with regard to the data mining that you're doing to manage a good ROI for that?
Right, so I think what you're asking here is, for the other room, I have to repeat the question. So you are looking to see, donors can be kind of fickle about how they essentially invest in nonprofits. And I'll tell you that that's where our professional services will come in, because there's a lot of strategy behind donor engagement and retention. And that's something that we're going to be able to help with one-on-one services. To, really what you want to do long-term is you want to connect with a donor who really feels like that my mission is your mission, right? And so it's a matter of professionally, how do we help nonprofits do that? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's a good question. Our competition. So we do have competition. I would say a good example on what I'm calling the business side of the house as opposed to the nonprofit side of the house is a company called Versaic. And they do in-kind donor management systems. They do sponsorship and grants. But their system doesn't capture the full life cycle of data, so they're not having like those auction-oriented results or the nonprofit fundraising results feed into a platform where they can make good decisions from that. And also, their costs it's about $10,000 just to implement the system, and then from there, businesses are paying $15,000 to $40,000 a year to maintain that system year over year. So it really prices mid and small size businesses out of the picture. Okay, pricing, good question. So on the nonprofit side, to get on the exchange, it could be as low as $199 a year. It's a recurring subscription model, and that allows you to get on and make some of those exchanges, take something that maybe is valued at $5,000 that you get $2,500 for, send it away and get $10,000 instead. It's awesome. And then and it's like magic sauce. For business, on the business side of the house, the solutions are going to range from about $1,000 up to $10,000. Is there somebody? Yeah.
So, how do you package the presentation of the gift that's being auctioned off?
Right, so the question is, how do we package the presentation of the gift that's being auctioned off? And so if you're a nonprofit and you're uploading your package for exchange into the system, think maybe a little bit like VRBO or one of those where you click in and you've got all the data, it's standardized about the house. In this case, it would be about that auction package, donor acknowledgement, marketing solutions, photos, values, all of the stuff that you would need then to turn around and make a good presentation of that package at your auction if you were to receive it. Yeah, we would absolutely do video when it's appropriate.
Let's see if I can take this. A lot of time, I sit on a couple of nonprofit boards.
Good for you.
And a lot of times when our donors give us something, whether it's a acting trip or a lot of it is they want it to be associated with our brand as a nonprofit, right? So I can see some confusion coming if I take what they've given me and put it onto an exchange, and somebody in New York ends up receiving that package. How do you deal with that?
I'm so glad you asked that. So essentially the question is about if somebody locally donates to you and they want to be aligned with your nonprofit as a supporter of your nonprofit, but you send that package or that item someplace else, what happens? And how do they maintain that? So a couple of things. First of all, the system requires that the nonprofit verify that they have donor permission to put it up there. So there's a verification process for that. And then secondly, we train nonprofits so they understand that at the event, for instance, in the catalog, let's say you got that New York package, it would be a New York extravaganza fulfilled by or made possible by Wanderlust Tours' generous donation to us. So you're acknowledging both sides. And I think that's it.
That's it, yes.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Awesome presentation, Talina. Isn't Pubtalk awesome? I love this. It's great. Get all psyched. All right. So next company that you're going to hear from is Voila. You got to do this when you say Voila. Founder Kent Sheridan and sous chef Nick Hombo of Voila Coffee Company will both pitch their passion to produce the perfect cup anywhere, anytime. Voila creates specialty instant coffee sourced from top U.S. coffee roasters. They're changing the standard of instant coffee, making it just as tasty as a cup from your local coffee shop, like this. Please welcome Nick and, I'm sorry, Nick and Kent. Yeah, thank you.
Our coffee is also really good to drink before a colonoscopy, so.
Also, 2 mics? 1 mic?
The other mic's up there. It's on the podium. It's right here on the podium.
Oh, wonderful.
Got it.
Check, check.
Okay. You have to be on our right sides.
This is how we practiced.
Okay. Anyway.
If you want to take that mic out, you can. Do it. Just take it.
Sure.
Okay.
Pace around.
Yeah. Because we've had a lot of coffee. Anyway,
Yes.
I'm Kent Sheridan, the founder of Voila.
And I'm Nick Humbo, the co-founder and sous chef at Voila.
And Voila is the world's best instant coffee from top coffee roasters across the US that is customizable and delivered monthly.
Just add water and voila.
I remember almost 2 years ago asking myself the age-old question, right? What is missing from the specialty coffee industry?
Yeah, and at the same time, he was probably on minute 5 of hand grinding his coffee beans.
Yeah, and then it hit me. I care way too damn much about good coffee. Specialty coffee needed to be much more simple and accessible for anyone, anywhere. I was pretty tired of bringing a backpack full of brewing equipment whenever I was away from home or didn't have a good cafe nearby, and it always takes so long and never really tastes quite as good.
Yeah, and I was going the opposite route and basically had to choke down cups of instant sludge just so I could wake up on road trips. Sorry, you can probably see I'm still a little bitter about how bitter that instant coffee was. So, specialty coffee is a lot like craft beer. You guys can all relate, we're in Bend. Except specialty coffee involves a lot more man buns, glasses, and vinyl records. Specialty coffee reaches that highest echelon of quality and skill and has a diehard and ever-growing customer base.
So now imagine if you were the first to ever can a craft beer.
And make it fit in your back pocket and make it last forever and be from all the top breweries in the world?
You're losing me on the analogies, dude. With Voila, you can not only have incredible coffee anywhere and anytime, you get to discover exciting new coffees and roasters, but best of all, it's ready in seconds. Good slurp.
Like I need more coffee. It really is some of the best coffee I've ever had. Let me know if somebody wants to come up and take a sip.
Anyway, Voila purchases fresh, overstock coffee from roasters at a discount off wholesale. We process that and brew it up to near perfect extractions so it tastes exactly how it should. We then take that liquid coffee and process it in our proprietary freeze-drying profiles that turn it into a perfect single-serving pack of dry instant coffee. You'll find some on your tables if you're lucky. This is completely different than any other form of instant coffee. Traditional instant coffee uses just the worst quality beans, and they pay such low prices, and they use hundreds of degrees of heat and pressure that completely melts everything down into a gross sludge.
Voila really is a barista-crafted coffee in every single pack.
As simple as it sounds, creating delicious instant coffee took months to perfect. I remember spending hours just hitting my head against my first freeze dryer while I watched batch after batch after batch turn out completely ruined.
Oh, you poor, tortured coffee scientist.
Now, I wouldn't call it an epiphany, but eventually I'd created a groundbreaking new way of making coffee that is unlike anything that has ever been done in the coffee industry. Yeah. Anyway, Voilà's foundation is with our subscription service. When we launch this summer, Voilà will sell packs of 5 cups for $20 shipped and have additional price breaks with quantity. People will be able to just visit our website, voila.coffee, choose how many cups per month they would like, customize their taste preferences, and then receive incredible specialty instant coffee delivered monthly. We will also have one-time purchases available for last-minute orders or gifts.
We feel the recurring subscriptions through our website will bring in predictable and dependable revenue with a customer-preferred shopping experience with upfront payment. So the market for Voila is huge. In 2016, the specialty coffee market in the US alone was $43 billion. Instant, single-serving, and ready-to-drink coffee was at a whopping $9.3 billion. mail and internet coffee was 640 million, and this pretty much just consisted of bags of beans being sold. As a product that exists in almost every single market and more, we feel that the total available market for Voila is massive and completely untapped for our product. In fact, globally, the market is even bigger. The Specialty Coffee Expo was just held in Budapest, and in almost every other country besides the US, they actually prefer to drink instant coffee.
Now, when it comes to our relationships, our roasters absolutely love working with us. We take the user error and variables out of the equation so that they can know their coffee will always be represented accurately, whether it was made at the office
or on top of Mount Bachelor.
We help them minimize waste and give exposure to our growing customer base. In exchange, we siphon their brand equity and get to put Voila on all of their retail shelves to familiarize daily specialty coffee drinkers with our brand. So, our main competition in this market is Sudden Coffee. They've had a lot of success with their instant coffee tubes. And originally they charged $6 per cup and pretty much sold out every single month. Recently they received $2.7 million in Series A round funding, and now they charge $3 per cup.
Sudden only has one coffee offered at a time, which basically means if you don't like that coffee that they have on hand, then you don't like Sudden at all. With us, we offer customizable taste preferences, which basically means you can choose between a multitude of different coffees for a more exciting experience.
For example, Nick's stepdad Steve loves a really rich and smooth cup of coffee. He would choose our structured category of coffees, and he'd still be able to explore all of the rich coffees from roasters like Thousand Faces, Dapper and Wise, Ruby, and more, just like he would with his wine subscription. For me, I love a really exciting cup of coffee, so I would choose our lively category. But if I ever get tired of that, I can always go back and change it up.
We are also able to produce coffee much more efficiently. We have a really clean and refined taste that is both delicious hot, iced, or you can even make a Voila latte.
Back in August of 2016, we successfully raised over $27,000 on Kickstarter in 30 days. We've been featured in the Huffington Post, Inc., Sprudge, which is a really popular coffee publication, NPR's How I Built This, Fresh Off the Grid, even Ben Magazine, and lots more. Actually, yesterday I was just invited to join the panel for the Global Specialty Coffee Association as a forward-thinking leader in the industry to talk about specialty convenience coffee.
It's pretty cool. So every day we're getting feedback from all of our Kickstarter backers saying that they are just blown away with the quality and are ready to buy more. In fact, Jim Kelso, he's the head at Quality Assurance at Stumptown, tried our product, and he's a person that's really well known for having one of the most seasoned palates in the entire industry. And when he tried our product, he loved it, and he immediately backed our Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah, but who the heck are we, dude?
Ken's dad always used to say, "You're full of big ideas." And boy, he was right. And Voila just might be his best one yet. Born out of the idea that the specialty coffee industry still had limits that needed to be pushed, Kent has come up with the world's best instant coffee. And why not? There's nothing more exciting than opening up this little pack and being able to enjoy coffees from all over the world without the trouble it used to take. Great idea, Kent.
Thanks. And Nick had serious operations management skills to Voila. His degree in business management with an emphasis in culinary arts adds a valuable perspective to the production and quality control. And the fact that he's an Eagle Scout basically means he's a walking Swiss Army knife at my disposal.
We think the potential for Voila is huge, and we are ready to revolutionize the specialty coffee industry. We have just finished fulfilling all of our Kickstarter backers and are currently in the middle of raising capital to scale and build out our infrastructure. Both Kent and I have families here in town, so we have local roots, and we'd love nothing more than to contribute to the community by building out our facility here in town.
Yeah, and we are just breaking into the Ben startup community, and we'll love to make as many connections and friends as possible. We've been lucky enough to have great mentors like Rob Little from Karen Box, and of course the EDCO team to be
awesome.
Incredible soundboards for us thus far. But a few areas we could specifically use some additional help are finding a great space in town for our production, finish building out the front and back end of our website, some accounting help, and some financing options for our equipment.
Yeah, and as we're growing, we're always looking to put together a super awesome team. So if you guys know some full-time ninjas out there, or just think you'd be an asset to the company, please come talk to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
All right, questions?
Questions?
What's the production time between and distribution time between roasting and consumer receiving?
That's a great question.
Good question. We do not roast.
repeat
Oh,
the
sorry.
question.
What is the production time and distribution time between roasting and fulfilling? So we actually don't roast any of our coffee. We're partnered with different roasters. So we take their already roasted coffee, and the time between when we get it and have it packaged into these little packs is it's 24 hours to process, and then a few more hours to package.
Right.
For those of us who don't get caffeinated coffee afternoon,
We don't quite yet.
But we will. That is definitely on the.
That the question about decaf options.
Oh, right. We
Yes.
will have decaf.
What is your customer acquisition strategy
Moving forward, you want to take this one?
Sure. Yeah. So customer acquisition strategy, it's going to be heavy in social media, but having boots on the ground, letting people try it is going to be huge. Proving that it really does taste like a fresh cup of coffee is going to be the fastest and easiest way to convert customers. And a big area for us will be offering a free sample cup on the website. That way we can build our email list and kind of pull from competition as it comes up.
You guys mentioned the international market, and a lot of us have been over there and seen the big instant coffee market that's there. Do you see any natural barriers in the United States? Why hasn't that gotten here previously, and what's the competition look like from abroad?
From abroad, there isn't a
question.
Oh, right. So he's asking the global market, how hard is it going to be for us to reach those people, and are there any competitors abroad? There are no competitors on doing specialty coffee as an instant form. And actually, we had people from Australia, Germany, Singapore, a few other. Australia is huge. They all backed our Kickstarter campaign and are just super excited to try it more.
I think we just see that no one's doing specialty instant, and that's why it hasn't broken out. Americans just love fresh coffee, and so now we can provide instant fresh coffee.
What do you guys charge? What are your margins?
So we charge $20 shipped for a pack of 5, and then we'll have additional price breaks with quantity, 5, 10, 15 on the website. And $4 a cup? Yes, $4 a cup. And then we will, our margins, question about margins. Right now, factoring just cost of goods, margins start at 62%.
So actually, let's just take this opportunity to talk about why we charge $4 a cup. Maybe.
Sure. Why do we charge $4 a cup? Great question. Okay, so we charge $4 a cup because we are a premium product, and we want to come in right where your average price for a pour over at a specialty cafe would be, and we're providing that quality but available anywhere, and we want to kind of set the standard for the best instant coffee in the world and kind of blow that out of the water.
How are you addressing the organic market, people who want organic beans?
How are we addressing the organic coffee bean market? So through partnering with our roasters, they have the option to try to find organic coffee. But in the specialty world, we're finding farms that are actually so small and too poor to actually become certified organic. So they're actually even too poor to pay for chemicals to not be organic. So more often than not, all of these coffees actually are. It's just they're not a big enough co-op to be able to afford that certification.
How will you present that hurdle to the buyer?
I think how would we present that hurdle to the buyer? I think most, I would say 90% of the specialty coffee is not certified organic at all, and that's just, it is what it is right now. The industry is trying to progress.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much.
I'll let you figure it out. All right, thanks, guys. I'm thinking camping. That would be perfect. Okay, now to our keynote. Sanjay Dholakia most recently served as Marketo's CMO for nearly 5 years. He led their marketing department through its worldwide expansion and IPO, helping scale the company nearly tenfold. Marketo is the world leader in marketing automation for companies of all sizes. If you haven't seen him speak, I watched a couple YouTubes of him speaking today. It was really, really good. So please look that up when you can. And I know he even mentioned Bend in the South by Southwest speech that he gave, and I think, pretty sure he lives here and is also on the board of a local company. So please give it up for Sanjay Dholakia.
Thank you. We okay? Okay. Guys my height don't belong behind podiums. Kryptonite. How's everyone doing? Thank you for that warm welcome. Eric, you must have watched a different Sanjay Dholakia, I believe. Let's give our entrepreneurs a hand again. The Mission Limelight team, fantastic. The Voila team, they probably went to get a beer. It's a bit of branding genius right there, voila. Everything sounds better in French. It's way better than there it is. Anybody shop at Target? I wouldn't buy sheets at Target, but I'd buy sheets at Target. I spent years trying to get people to call me Sanjay. Didn't quite catch on. Anyway, thank you to the entire EDCO team. Honored to be here. Appreciate the invitation. Thank you all for giving up a sunny evening to come here and listen to me prattle on a bit. What can I tell you about me? I have a 14-year-old daughter who just graduated from the 8th grade yesterday. I have a 7-year-old little boy. We moved to Bend 4 years ago from the Bay Area, where we had spent about 15 years. I grew up a Red Sox fan on the East Coast in Boston. I'm wearing funny socks right now. I have 38 stitches in my head alone, which explains everything that you're about to hear, by the way. Eric went through a little bit of my background. I started my career in the consulting industry. For those of you that know, companies like McKinsey & Company, which are basically strategy outfits where we go tell people what to do and then run as fast as we can. And so I did that until I realized I had to get a real job. And then I spent the next 15 years of my career in enterprise software and building businesses and companies. I was the general manager of a learning management software company that we built from $5 million to $130 million public company before that was acquired. I helped build the leader in what we called the social CRM category when Facebook didn't exist, a company that helped businesses, what you all now know as these online communities, power those sorts of things. And we tripled the run rate of that business before I went on to be the CEO of another social software company called Crowd Factory, which was then acquired by Marketo when Marketo was about a $30 million company. And I spent the next 5 years there as the CMO as we took Marketo from a $30 million startup in the Bay Area to a global $300 million plus organization that last year was acquired for $1.8 billion. I tell you all of that one, to let you know that I can't hold down a job. Two, to just give you a sense of, my lens and where I'm coming from. I am what I consider a growth guy. I love tinkering and building things and figuring out how do you make things grow. And so as I was talking to Brian about what to talk about here tonight, because I could bore you with all kinds of things, I wore lots of different hats through that whole experience, as you could tell. I was a consultant to lots of big companies. I was a GM of a public company. I was a CMO of a public company. I was a CEO of a software company. But the through line for me through all of it has always been, I call myself at a DNA level a strategic marketer. That I presume everybody in this room, and almost everybody that I've ever talked to, if they're in any kind of business, profit, or nonprofit organization, ultimately cares about doing three things, which is acquiring customers, constituents, growing that set of customers or constituents, and keeping those folks happy. And all of that ultimately is about marketing. It's about strategic marketing. So it's why I tell people that, these last 5 years for me at Marketo before, by the way, I left out the now as stay-at-home dad for the last year or so. But those 5 years I've characterized as the great privilege of my career, because what that allowed me to do was to take this thing that I was passionate about and talk to, by the end, 5,000 or so companies around the world and smart marketers around the world, and help people through this transition that I've talked about, that I'll talk a little bit about with all of you, and learn from all of them. And so, that transition, which I think is highly relevant for, as I said, every organization, anybody who cares about these three things and doing these three things, whether you're a B2B company or a B2C company, whether you are a little startup company or the biggest company in the world. Marketo, I had companies in Bend, startup companies like Manzama running on the Marketo platform, and I had GE running globally on the Marketo platform. These principles all apply. And the reason is that our worlds, and the worlds that you're all living in, have transformed so dramatically. I've often gotten on stage and said, hey, the world of marketing has changed more in the last 5 years than it did in the last 500. And the reason is this whole digital, social, mobile, internets, intrawebs thing that happened to us all, right? Because, all of us are trying to get a message out. The problem is with that whole explosion, the world got really noisy. Can I get a show of hands of people that answer their cell phone if it doesn't pop up a name? Right? The smarter people than me have figured out that we all now are exposed individually to about 3,000 plus marketing messages a day. You're aware of about 50 of them. And you'll actually remember, it turns out, 4. And so all the marketers are all trying to figure out, how do I become one of those 4? Any guesses as to how people become one of those 4s or think they were going to become one of those 4? Let's yell louder, right? Because then we'll get their attention. And all that does is make it worse. Here's the other confounding problem, which you all can relate to, because you all, it turns out, spend money. Or our customers. In this whole digital, social, mobile explosion, information was created. Used to be that we lived in an information-scarce world. Now, we all have all of the information we possibly need at our fingertips. Again, smarter people than me have figured out that consumers, you and I, will often move 75% of the way. Turns out it's 60 to 80%. I'd like 75 as a number. 75% of the way through my decision-making process before I ever want to talk to or go encounter the brand. And by the way, if you wait till that 75% mile marker on that 100-mile journey, you're screwed because they've made their decision already. And so in this world where nobody wants to talk to me, who's bought a car recently and has that to compare their experience to buying a car 15 years ago? Right? Wow, I'm old. So when I bought a car 15 years ago, the only way to buy a car is I had to go to the dealership. And they had all the information. And so what did that mean? That gave them all the power. So I'd have to go into this dealership, and I sat there all day. I'm not kidding when I tell you, my wife left me. Literally just walked out, just said, this is ridiculous. But that was because they had all the information, they had all the power. Fast forward, now when you buy a car, I bought a car most recently, you can get online, you got that Google search box, you can do all the research you need, you can get down to not just the brand level, the models. I figured out, this thing was an import, I figured out that it was coming from overseas, I figured out what ship it was on, I figured out the invoice price, I figured out the commission that this poor schmuck was going to make when I called him. I was done with the whole thing in 20 minutes. And so in this world where nobody wants to hear the marketing messages, and they don't really want to talk to us, how is it that we all succeed at acquiring customers? And so I talk about this, all of this experience I kind of boiled down to this shift from originally what we all lived in. We grew up in the Mad Men era, right? And the whole Mad Men, so we got square glasses and we're really clever, this mass marketing world. And it was all about me. It was all about how clever I was, right? One marketing message for all of you. Then the internet showed up 20 years ago and we kind of moved into this transactional world where, hey, maybe we can just get somebody to bite on the other end of this line. Hey, let's get a Groupon and, now we got you, sucker, and then we're off. To what I now talk about as this new era of engagement marketing. As the way, and frankly, in my belief system, the only way to actually succeed at acquiring, building, and growing these customer relationships. And so what do I mean by this engagement marketing thing, this era of engagement marketing? Can I get a show of hands, people that buy things on Amazon.com? It's always a layup, right? And so the good news is you all get it. If you buy stuff on Amazon, you get it. You know what this thing is. I go to my Amazon home screen, I log on, and then I've got, women's clothing and leggings and jewelry on my homepage. What does that tell you, by the way, about Sanjay? Other than I'm a cross-dresser. Right? Amazon has figured out that the only thing that I do on Amazon, the only thing I use them for is to buy my wife and daughter presents. Because they have 2-day shipping. That is engagement marketing. They have 10 million things they could try to sell me. Do they? Nope. Do they send me marketing messages about things? Nope. They listen to what I'm saying, what I'm doing. They figure me out. They learn me. Then they talk back to me. They send me emails about, hey, Sanjay, those boots you were looking at last week, just wanted you to know they went on sale. Oh, thank gosh. I buy them. I had no intention of spending that money. Right? But they're so useful to me. And this is engagement marketing. Now, they spent 20 years and $1 billion+ figuring out how to do this. The good news is, it's all, like everything else, has been democratized for all of the rest of us. Right? These are all simple concepts and principles, to apply. The technology is available in spades, and it's all relatively straightforward to do, but it requires this huge head shift for us in terms of making this transition from the world of mass marketing and transactional marketing to this era of engagement marketing. And so I've tried through my travels to pull all of these things into 5 simple concepts. Now, as my kids will tell you, I have 3 brain cells. So I had to make it easy for me to remember. So I'm going to pack them all into A, B, C, D, and E. So hopefully you all can remember it. And more importantly, I can remember what they are up here. So A, and this one I had to cheat a little bit, as individuals. Right, so focus on the individual's part, but remember that I started it with A. This seems obvious, right? It's the world used to be, hey, let's segment people and put them in demographics. I once gave a speech, it might have been down in Austin, and I told this story to illustrate this point. Anybody know Sling TV, the service? Okay. Anybody work at Sling TV? Okay, so I should have done that in Austin. So I told this story about I got in the mail this great solicitation from Sling TV for you have the Desi Indian channels that you can watch every Indian movie that you've ever wanted, et cetera. That was the crux of the piece. They obviously do lots of other things. And I looked at it, and my college friends used to call me the whitest Indian guy they know. This thing. It was so off the mark, and just as a marketer, it offended me. And I went on, I told the story in Austin, and right where you are, Kadi, was sitting the CMO of Sling TV. So I've learned to ask people to raise their hands. But it was, at the end of the day, it was offensive. It was just so lazy, and it offended me. And so much so that I got on stage in lots of places and told people how crappy their marketing was, right? But just think about the pragmatic effect. That's funny, but think about the pragmatic effect. When you do that to people, that's a bad brand experience, and it is going to have ripple effects. And so, thinking about how you get to people at an individual level. There are all kinds of, now pragmatic, tactical ways. The simplest of make your emails targeted as opposed to blasting the same email out to hundreds of people. Think about that word, by the way, right? It's like nomenclature, email blasts. Oh, yeah, we're sending out an email blast. What does a blast feel like, right? When's the last time that you were on the other end of a gun or a bomb and, a blast felt great? And yet, we do it to people. Right? As marketers, and again, you can see how much gray hair I have. I grew up guilty of all of these things. And so, just to tell a quick story, I have no idea, by the way, how much time I have or I'm taking, so I'm going to need you to 5 more? Okay, that's going to be closer to 20. So I'm just kidding. All right, so I'm going to have to cut the stories a little short here. So B, right? Let's talk about B. B is based on behavior. And this, to me, is one of the most important ones of the bunch. And really, it's about listening, right? My mom taught me, and I know your moms did too, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And yet, as marketers, we all grew up shoving these messages out at people, right? 5 mouths and no ears, because we're so desperate to become one of those 4 that we never stopped to listen. It turns out, I sat next to Kristen. When I go to the doctor's office for my annual physical, and I am not going to do this joke right here. I dutifully fill out the form, and you guys all get to the question. There's several of these. And how many drinks a week do you have? Like 3 to 5, right? And if that pen could talk, liar. And here's the point, right? What I say, or even who I am, think back to this Sling TV example, is way less important than what I do. Because we as human beings, I know this will shock you all, right? We like to bend the truth a little bit, right? We're all marketing ourselves a little bit. Those folks at Sling, they went through the phone book or something and said, hey, let's look for people with Indian last names, and then we'll send them all this piece, and they sent them to both of us here in Bend. Or, this notion of you ask me, well, I'm going to tell you lots of stuff that really is in the neighborhood of true, but not really. But if you watch my behavior like Amazon did, you will learn exactly what I value, what I need, what can be useful, what can be helpful to me. And so, things you can do here, again, lots of tactics down to, these technologies around website personalization and observation. You can watch where people go on your website and then talk to them based on that. So C, continuously over time. This thing, I told this story on stage, so I will keep the insurance company nameless here. I was on the phone, when I got this new car and I added it to the policy, and they have all my other stuff, life insurance, and hey, while I have you, Sanjay, should we talk about more life insurance? I'm good, thank you, thanks for asking, we just did this review. No, really? I'm good, thank you. Told him 3 times, we're good. What did I get in mail next week? Come on, somebody tell me what I got. I got this, very glossy, beautiful marketing piece pitching life insurance. Didn't we just talk? Imagine, Nathan, if you and I had this conversation, we're like, hey, Nathan, how are you? And then we go to the bar, and you walk up to me, and hey, Sanjay, and I'm like, who are you? That A feels like crap. B, I look like an asshole, right? Connecting the dots. These things are all relationships, right? We all know this stuff intuitively. Raise your hand if you're married. Okay, now, put your hand up if your spouse would have married you the first day you met her. Him or her. All right, so look at these. Yeah. So you had blackmail stuff, right? Yeah. And that's what we do. We send messages out. Hey, want to buy? Want to buy? You want to buy? You want to buy? Come on, no, you want to buy. You got to work up to it a little bit. These are relationships. It turns out, we send these email blasts out or whatever the case is, and then we're all disappointed. Oh my God, I can't believe 0.110% of folks responded. How could that possibly be? It turns out that literally at best, 2% of folks will actually be interested now and be ready. But they all potentially, if you gave it time and could connect the dots in that conversation over time, 60% could turn into customers for you. So C, continuously. This is a phrase, for the marketers in the room, they'll know this. For the rest of you, again, there's technology that helps you do this stuff, but the concept, because the technology doesn't do it for you, you actually have to think about how you do it. They're called nurture programs. You are nurturing a relationship. And so thinking about how you do that works wonders. The conversion rates, by the way, on those kinds of programs are enormous. D, directed towards an outcome. This isn't all philanthropy, right? We have an objective. Even the philanthropy has an objective. So here's the good news. Your buyers have a goal too, right? They have somewhere they want to go. So this notion is, D here, is all about being useful and helpful to folks, right? And it's a fundamental headset switch. I always used to tell this story that, and this was one of the lightning bolts that hit me in my career. It turns out nobody in the history of the world ever went to Home Depot to buy a shovel. Turns out all those people went to Home Depot because they needed a hole in the ground. But all of us shovel makers, we love talking about our shovel. Mine's shiny, it's sharp, it's so wonderful. You should buy this. It doesn't help your buyer. Doesn't help people get smart, they want the hole in the ground. As soon as people start talking about the hole in the ground? Well, because I need, I'm putting a fence in. I got to get, these fence post holes. You're digging a ditch. I need this other. Understand the problems that people are trying to solve, and then talk to them about those things. They will love you, and that's how you build this brand affinity. At Marketo, right, I practiced all of this stuff. I learned it. I fell in a bunch of ditches, no pun or connection intended. We built a blog at Marketo before we built a product. We started building content that people could find and find useful, et cetera, before we ever had a product to sell them. And so investing in content is extremely useful and necessary in this world. E, everywhere. We live in a world where, by the way, how many people think I'm holding the mobile channel in my hand? You all figured out that was a trick question, didn't you? Right? We live in this everywhere world. This thing, I can move my thumb. It's a mobile channel. If I move my thumb 1 inch, I'm now in my email channel. If I move my thumb 1 inch up, I'm in my social channel on Facebook. If I move my thumb, you get my point. And yet it's still me. And so this ability that marketers have had forever to send me tone-deaf messages in 2 different places that aren't connected ruin their chances of ever getting me to become a customer. And so thinking about how you connect those channels. And again, very easy things to do. What I used to do is if you hit product blue page on my website, that automatically triggered an email for product blue. As opposed to, I got product green, red, yellow. And by the way, we all tended to send all of those things out to people. And it turns out nobody cared. And so there are lots of these little things that you can do. So if you remember, A, as individuals, B, based on behavior, C, continuously over time, D, directed towards an outcome, be useful to helpful, E, everywhere, connecting these dots across different places, you will move naturally from this old era of mass marketing, which I will continue to say works less and less, if not at all, into this era of engagement marketing. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I'm way over time, I'm sure. But I'll take questions if you allow me time.
Questions for Sanjay? I've got one. So I'm going to give myself a prop first, and that is that last year we took home the Marketo Marketer of the Year Award.
Woo!
Small company out of Eugene, Oregon.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
And so thank you for helping us grow big enough to really take that home. That was a terrific tool, Marketo.
Great work.
So certainly it helped in that. So what's next for you?
What's next for me? I truly, I was gone. Those 15 years, I was gone a lot. And so I really am focused mostly at being home with the family. I sit on 4 boards, 1 nonprofit, 3 companies. 2 are software companies. 1 back in that sort of HR. I believe a lot in people and the power of people, and so I wanted one in that space. I'm working closely here with Navis, which marries up against my passions in the broadly speaking, the marketing and performance world. And then I'm on the board of a consumer company because I wanted to, after 15 years in B2B, do something on a consumer company. And so this is a global company that's headquartered out of New Zealand that allows me to go see different things in different places. So that's what I'm up to. I will continue to talk about this stuff as much as I possibly can because I truly believe it, and I've seen the power of it for organizations like yours. Dino.
Great talk. So maybe share your perspectives on
today's computer science world, we have the whole world of machine learning and artificial intelligence, and that's colliding with this whole marketing kind of universe. And what's your perspectives on how that's going to change the way brands and companies kind of act to consumers in a very highly personalized way?
Yeah, great question. So for the other room, if I repeat it, basically machine learning, AI, artificial intelligence, and this marketing stuff that I've been talking about, how do those essentially collide? And I think beautifully, right? You know, these will make beautiful babies together. And I'll say two things. One is the world of a marketer. And by the way, remember, based on my inability to hold a job, a marketer is everybody. So if you are the CEO of an organization in here, or the head of sales, or you are all marketers, and you better start realizing that and think about it, because if you push it somewhere and don't pay attention to it, your business won't go. And so you have to think about those things. That world has gone from the Mad Men world of what I called art to this engagement era of marketing to a world that is more science. So as AI and machine learning, all of these things get better and more powerful, all it's going to do is make this ABCDE stuff much easier to do, right? Because the machines will be able to figure out the stuff that even today you all have to do some of that heavy lifting. That stuff will do more and more of the heavy lifting. It will figure out instantly that Sanjay is interested in product blue and yellow, and what you should do next is, hit him on Facebook. Don't send him an email because he doesn't go there at 7:30 at night. He goes over here, right? All of those things will be done by the machines, and it will be beautiful. What it will do for the organization is free up mental time and capacity to do the things that no machine can do. And that is creating that content, creating the messaging, storytelling, right? Think about, back to the letter C, this continuous relationship. The machines can connect the dots for me, but I actually have to be able to say something that's going to be compelling to you based on that last thing. And that, a human being, we're nowhere close to building machines that can do that stuff for us. I'll often tell this joke of, hey, I'm going to write down, before I came to Pubtalk tonight, 25 things that I was going to say, and I'm just going to walk into the room and I'm just going to read down my list. And that's not going to go very well for me, right? But that's what you would otherwise have had to do. And so the marketers can think about what those 25 things might do, or might be, those content pieces, and then the machines can decide what the right next one is based on that last interaction point or conversation place.
One more.
How do you engage the unengaged?
How do you engage the unengaged? This is where, so I've had this line for a lot of years. In this transition, the job of marketers and companies, and by the way, this takes a little intestinal fortitude to believe this, particularly if you're building a young company, et cetera, is that the job of the marketer isn't to go find customers. Record scratch. Right? It is to be found. Because in this world of 3,000 plus marketing messages a day, et cetera, I'll tell you what, everybody's unengaged. And so it goes back to, what was letter D, right? Being useful to people, investing in content. This is why we built a blog before we built a product, because as people go to that darn Google search box or are just perusing and browsing around, maybe I'm scrolling through my Facebook feed, what happens? That's the serendipity where you find things that are useful to you or interesting to you. And then, once you have that first, if I was listening, right ear or left ear, if I was listening, I've captured that. I know that that person was, and then it is that next conversation, right? Now, again, to go back to our relationship analogy, when I called my wife the first time, I didn't get the response. So what did I do? I was like, that message didn't work. Let me try a different one. And then there's no magic around the engaging the unengaged other than be listening, and then to your best ability, iterate through things that might work to bring them in. And don't be disappointed if the next thing you do doesn't work. But you gotta stay with it, right? And so that goes back to these nurture programs that I was suggesting to people, right? Those are the things that engage the unengaged. Because the number went from, just so you have the statistic, from 2% to 60% over a period of time, right? And so it just sometimes takes a while, but you will hit if you have, and this is where the technology matters, because you can't be doing it with blunt force. You can do it for 100 people, but how are you going to do it for thousands and millions of people? You need the technology to, just on a cadence, hey, if Sanjay didn't open that email, send him this other one in 2 weeks. Don't be annoying, etc. If he doesn't open that one, then hit him with this other thing in his Facebook feed. Or, right? It's just trial and error.
Okay, well, great. Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you, guys.
Official Pubtalk mug.
Thank you.
You can get that refilled here anytime.
Fantastic.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks. None of this is working. Okay. All right. What? Which one? There we go. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Yep. Thanks, Sanjay, for reminding us to be human. That's the message I get from you, is go back to the basics, go back to the roots. Guess what? We are going to be in Prineville in July. So July 27th, a free ride heading over there for the first 15 people that reply to the email, the Pubtalk email. I hope you're all signed up for that. If you're not signed up for the Pubtalk email, go to EDCO's website. It's on there. So that should be fun. Definitely, it's going to be at the Ochko Brewing, so July 27th. And now we have the drawing. Why don't you have Talina pick it out? Yes. Yeah.
Now, if Kurt gets it, do I have to forfeit?
Yes.
Oh. All right, so it is, no.
Okay, here. Guess what?
2 old people with a ticket. This is not going well.
Am I prepared or what? 4, 8, 6, 9, 4, 3, 4.
Do they have to be present to win?
Yes. One more time. 4, 8, 6, 9, 4, 3, 4. Okay, another drawing. Okay. And I guess I could tell you what we're drawing for, right? That'd be good too. One night stay at the Hotel Eastland to see the Oregon Entrepreneurs Network's Pubtalk in Portland. So, yep, that's cool. I'll just do it. How about that? Host with the most. Okay. 4, 8, 6, 9, 4, 6, 7.
Oh, yeah. Right here.
Really? Let me read that.
You can donate it away. Don't bother reading it.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, no, you win. That's great. Wow, I eclipsed your powers, Talina. Yes. All right. Well, hey, thanks again for being here tonight. Have a great summer, and I need a pickup for my colonoscopy appointment. So if anyone could pick me up, that'd be great. So have a happy summer. Bye.